Ladies and gentlemen, good day to you. I hope my compatriots won't mind if I speak in English for the benefit of some of our guests. Distinguished guests, Mrs. Rajavi, it's an honor for me to be standing before you and to address you. I'm a representative of many. There could be tens of thousands of Iranians that could be stood in my place. I'd like to start by thanking our guests for being with us today at this convention, which is important to us, and also for taking strides with us along the road to freedom. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Rajavi for her leadership. Her strength, her courage, her conviction inspires us all. Also a message for the residents of Camp Liberty, our sisters, our brothers, our friends. That message is, wow. Wow, that every day that passes, we are astounded by your tenacity and your bravery. Even in the face of such adversity in Iraq, your voices shout louder. The torch of freedom that you carry shines brighter. No, 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 you shout. No, we will not surrender to the tyrannical regime in Iran. No, we will not stop standing up for the rights of the Iranian people. And no, we will certainly not stop using all our powers and all the effort that we have to overthrow the regime and bring about democratic change in Iran. The Committee of Anglo-Iranian Lawyers supports the people of Ashraf wholeheartedly and supports the objectives of this convention. As Mrs. Rajavi says, we're at a critical juncture. Change in Iran is inevitable, especially with her leadership and the NCRI and the PMOI beside the Iranian people. That change will be brought, and it will not be brought by the likes of Rouhani and others who are part of this brutal regime, but by the Iranian people and its resistance. In my professional life as a lawyer, I've done various work with parliamentarians and advised a range of groups, both in the UK and in the EU. I've been involved in the many legal cases that have been brought to deprescribe the PMOI in the UK, EU, and the United States. That has included a very detailed analysis of every part of the PMOI's history, including classified material. I've also met officials from the Foreign Office and the State Department to discuss a range of issues relating to Ashraf, Camp Liberty, and the Iranian resistance. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to just spend a couple of minutes sharing some of my thoughts with you. I've learned one thing, and I suspect I'm not the only one, and you've all realized this too, that the Foreign Office and the State Department have absolutely no understanding of the realities in Iran, the aspirations of more than 70 million Iranians, and the NCRI and the PMOI. I regret to say that when it comes to Iran policy, the UK Foreign Office and the State Department are rotten to the core. I had a meeting with the FCO, the Foreign Office, in the UK a little while ago. And of course, we discussed the terrorist label against the PMOI, and we told them that we proved they were wrong. They said, yes. But what? Well, the NCRI doesn't really have much support in Iran. I've always learned from the NCRI and the PMOI to be polite. It was an astonishing assertion for someone to make sitting in London about a police state, a tyrannical state. Anyway, I asked them, so how have you made this assessment? Because you know, of course, you don't have any Foreign Office officials running around Iranian society to ask people what they think about their leadership and or what they would like for a future Iran. And of course, membership of the PMOI or support of the PMOI under the Iranian constitution and the criminal code leads to a loss of right of life and property, execution. We've spoken to some people, they said. Well, how many people, I asked? Well, a few. Okay, who are these people? Iran experts. And of course, these are exactly the same Iran experts who have later been exposed as agents of the Iranian regime, not only in classified material that have appeared before the courts, but even the Foreign Office and the State Department have been forced to admit that that's what they are, Iran regime agents. So the Foreign Office and State Department assessment of the NCRI is based merely on disinformation of the Iranian regime. In any event, you can't assess the aspirations of 70 million people by speaking to a few. I'm not terribly bright, but I sat down and I pointed out a few facts to these FCO officials. The PMOI was the largest political party in Iran after the revolution and was responsible in large part for the revolution. millions of supporters in Iran. Over 120,000 PMOI supporters and sympathizers have been executed. Do the maths. If they have 10 relatives, that's 1.2 million supporters. If they have 100 relatives each, that's 12 million supporters. Also, I showed them photographs of the NCRI's annual political conference in Paris. 100,000 attend. I don't mean any disrespect to any political parties in the West, but I can't remember the last time that any political party in the West managed to gather even 10,000 people at one of their annual conferences, never mind 100,000. Also, why is the Iranian regime so terrified of the PMOI and NCRI if they mean nothing and they have no supporters? Leading on to the suggestion that Rouhani represents the Iranian people, it's offensive, it's insulting. That statement says that Iranians support an Islamic fundamentalist dictatorship, torture, rape and execution, total oppression, oppression of women, oppression of religious and ethnic minorities, total lack of human rights. We're here to say to the Foreign Office and the State Department, no. We want for our people and for our loved ones exactly what you want for yours. Describing Rouhani as a moderate and doing deals with the regime is cowardly. It's dangerous and it's aimed at appeasing a brutal regime. Our message to the FCO, polite message that is, and the State Department, is take your heads out of the sand and see the wood for the trees. Recognize the NCRI as a legitimate opposition movement and an alternative to the Iranian regime. Recognize the Iranian people's aspirations for freedom and democracy and to overthrow this regime. And finally, but very importantly, in respect to the residents of Camp Liberty, the US, the UK and the UN must fully protect the rights of the residents. They must respect the rule of law. They must keep their promises and comply with their legal obligations, which they haven't done to date. We will do everything in our power to make sure they do so. Thank you.